that blade works.
Hey, what is up, you guys? This is Silver Fang, and today I'm back with another one. So yes, finally, I know last time I tried this I went into a little bit of Fate Apocrypha instead, but today I'm going to be reviewing or going over a video from Any News called Achilles Explained. This is a two-part video. I'm going to be doing part one today. If you guys saw my Apocrypha review, you probably already know. So unlike most people, my favorite servant from Apocrypha is Achilles. A lot of people will probably say Karna, but my personal favorite is definitely Achilles, which is why I decided to start with him with the while I do all the Apocrypha servants. I'm gonna do Karna whenever I reach 300 subs. So if you guys want to see that sooner, then you might want to subscribe. It shouldn't take too long. But I feel since Karna is the most popular servant from Fate Apocrypha, I feel like I should leave him for something special. So I'm gonna be doing Achilles first, and it's a shame that we didn't get to see a lot of screen time with him, but at least hopefully here I get to learn a little bit more about him, and it'll be awesome. Probably after him I'll do Mordred, and then we'll see what we do from there. So this part one, I don't want to talk too much because last time, you know what happened. So let's just jump right into the video.
It really is a shame that we didn't get to see Achilles more often, especially considering that he's one of the more well-known servants. Well, since he's Achilles. Whether it's through some movie or TV show or a random lesson of Greek mythology, you've definitely heard the name Achilles before.
Yep.
Personally, I think that he was really underplayed and underdeveloped as a servant. He's a rider that we barely saw in his chariot and has noble phantasms and fighting ability that's equal to Vladwell in Romania. But you wouldn't know that because the only times that we ever got to see him fight for real was against Chiron. Like, take this in. Achilles has a noble phantasm that literally would have made it impossible for the Black faction to win if Chiron wasn't on their team. And you'll see why in my video tomorrow explaining his abilities and noble phantasms. But since Fate Apocrypha pretty much assumes that you already know all the backstories and abilities of the servants, you must have been pretty damn confused when Astolfo received literal plot armor from Achilles. Things do make a little more sense once you get a bit more information surrounding that particular event. But first, even though you know who Achilles is, you probably aren't familiar with his origins. So let's talk a bit more about one of the greatest Greek heroes from the Trojan War, who we know from Fate Apocrypha as the Rider of Red. Achilles was the son of the sea nymph Thetis and the king Peleus. Thetis was the goddess of water, but Peleus was just a mere man, meaning that Achilles himself was mortal. A quick side note though, because I'm sure a lot of you have the question on how Achilles knows Atalanta. Well, other than the fact that they both stem from Greek mythology, they do have a connection. Peleus was a part of Jason and the Argonauts during their attempt to find the Golden Fleece. Not only that, but he also took part in the Caledonian boar hunt. If this sounds familiar at all, that's because if you remember from her episode a couple weeks ago, Atalanta took part in both those events. Peleus even had a wrestling match against her and lost. So it's not unlikely that Peleus told stories about Atalanta to Achilles. But back to what I was talking about. Peleus being human meant Achilles was only a demigod, so he wasn't immortal. This had worried Thetis, so she did everything she could to make him immortal. This included burning him over a fire every night, then healing him with some ambrosial ointment. Which, if you didn't know, ambrosia was a substance of the gods which is supposed to bring immortality to those who come into contact with it. Not only did she burn him alive multiple times, she also dunked him in the river Styx, because that was also thought to grant immortality.
Oh my god.
Which, of course, it ended up doing. Achilles did in fact become immortal, but there was one small mistake that Thetis overlooked while dipping Achilles in the river. Apparently, she had gripped his legs so tight around the heel area that none of the water came into contact with it. This is starting to sound vaguely familiar. Literally, if these people just paid a little bit more attention, they'd be unstoppable heroic spirits. But I guess stories wouldn't be interesting if the hero was super OP and had no weaknesses. So, as you'd expect,
I mean,
the term
I think
Achilles' heel
SAO
refers to the
is
only point of his
pretty
body
good.
where he's mortal and can be killed.
I mean, some might
now,
disagree.
this is where the story splits. It's said that either Achilles was abandoned by his mother later on due to a fight between her and Peleus, or a seer predicted that Achilles was to die in a battle against the Trojans, so in order to avoid that, she sent him to the island of Skyros under the guise of a girl named Pyrrha. Regardless, it was during this time that Achilles began to receive training. Whether it was Achilles' own volition to learn to fight, or his father's concern for his son, he learned to fight nonetheless. And it was from none other than Chiron himself, who, fun fact, also trained Hercules. Fast forward a few more years, and Zeus is thinking that the Earth is having an overpopulation problem. So he wants to reduce that number by a little bit. What does he do? He incites a war between the Greeks and the Trojans. Long story short though, the war started over one king stealing the woman of the other king. The prince of Troy, Paris, with the help of Aphrodite, seduced and stole away the king of Sparta's wife, Helen. And so the king of Sparta calls together Greece's greatest warriors to invade Troy so that he can get his wife back. Achilles was the commander of 50 ships, and each had 50 warriors known as the Myrmidons, which were a colony of ants transformed by Zeus into humans to become strong warriors. This war goes on for 9 years before anything important even happens. Achilles has led numerous battles and hadn't lost a single one. He was the fastest one on the battlefield, with an immortal body and a spear given to him by his father. He rode his chariot that was pulled by 3 horses, 2 of which were actual god-given gifts from Poseidon. He was pretty much an unstoppable force. Yet, somehow, no matter how many battles he won, they couldn't siege the city of Troy. As we near the 10th year of the war, Achilles' Achaean army had become cursed by a priest of Apollo. Their army's commander, Agamemnon, had stolen this priest's daughter and refused to give her back. As such, soldiers began to die one by one to an unknown plague. The commander had no choice but to return the priest's daughter.
Why was that guy
naked? But now that he was down one woman, he needed another to replace the old one. Agamemnon decides to take Achilles' battle prize, Briseis, who Achilles would have received as a reward for winning the war. Achilles had actually loved Briseis, but did not contest the commander's decision. Instead, he withdrew from the war and stopped fighting for Greece. The tides of battle began to shift as the Trojans started to push back the Greek forces. You see, the Trojans knew that the Greeks' strongest fighter wasn't around, so they continuously assaulted and gained back once lost ground. Patroclus, who had grown up with Achilles almost as a brother, still fought on the front lines. He convinced Achilles to lend him his armor so that he could pretend to be Achilles on the battlefield. Achilles accepted, but it was supposed to be only until they pushed the Trojans back from the ships, which they had ended up doing. But Patroclus wanted more and chased the Trojans to the gate. He ended up getting into a one-on-one fight with the Trojan prince Hector, who was the strongest Trojan warrior at the time. As such, Patroclus ended up getting killed by him. When Achilles had found this out, he was absolutely struck with grief, and he knew that he had to rejoin the battle to avenge his friend. His mother saw that this was going to happen, so she came to comfort Achilles. She had also brought new armor and a shield created by the god of blacksmiths himself, Hephaestus.
That's a
Achilles
shield.
returns to the battlefield and kills a great number of Trojans in search of Hector. Achilles finally finds Hector and gets to face off with him in a one-on-one fight. Hector never stood a chance, and he knew it. So before he was going to die, he asked Achilles to treat his body with respect after he was dead. However, Achilles declined, and instead attaches the corpse to his chariot and drags it all the way back to his ship.
Wow.
This disrespectful act had angered the god Apollo. So as the destruction of Troy grew near with Achilles invading the city and whatnot, the king of Troy, Paris, drew his bow and fired it. It's said that this arrow was guided by Apollo himself to strike right at Achilles' weak point, his heel. Even after this though, Achilles still fought all the Trojans around him, taking out quite a few before succumbing to his own mortality and taking several arrows to the heart. So that's his story pretty much. This was the really abridged version of Achilles' whole story from the Iliad. If you want to know more, then I highly recommend watching the movie Troy. It's pretty consistent with what I just talked about, and it's not a bad movie in general. But if you take in certain aspects of this story, you'll realize why certain things in the show played out the way that they did. But Achilles has like 5 noble phantasms, and I really want to go in depth as how they play their role in the show with certain key events, which is why I'm going to end this video here and upload the part 2 tomorrow. So as always, thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this type of anime content, then you already know what to do. So until next time, ciao.
Yo. I really like this one, yo. Any news? Yeah, his videos are awesome, man. So I mean, it's a center right here. So yeah, man, like this video was awesome. This video was amazing. I liked it a lot. I got to learn a lot about Achilles. I didn't know none of his backstory. I haven't watched the movie Troy. I haven't watched the series Troy, which Netflix recently released, which I am thinking of watching. So a lot of interesting stuff happened in his life. So how he became immortal, that was kind of weird, and his weakness, the heel, I didn't think that occurred like that. That was really interesting. So she gripped his heel, his ankle so tightly that none of the water got in the ankle. So that's his one and only weakness. Another thing that I found that is kind of, I mean, yeah, if you were to make Achilles super OP, I feel like he would probably be like another Hercules, pretty much, probably. Which is why, and in the Disney movie, they mention Achilles, and I don't know if you guys seen this movie, but probably most of you have, because like it's probably when you were kids or whatnot. But if you remember, right, when Phil was gonna train Hercules, he mentioned Achilles and about his heel. So from there, I did know that Achilles and Herc had the same teacher. I didn't think about it when I first started watching the video, but I did remember the connection afterwards. So yeah, so they did have the same teacher. Also, the thing about why did Apollo get pissed when Achilles killed the prince of Troy? Why did Apollo get pissed? I don't understand. Yet he hadn't. Was it just because of the disrespect? Like he pretty much caused Achilles to die. So why was he so mad? That is something that I want to know, and that's why I'm definitely gonna check out those movies. I don't know if they're gonna answer that for me, but I'm definitely gonna check it out. I'm definitely interested. As I said, this guy's my favorite servant from Apocrypha, so I'm definitely interested. I'm interested in the next video as well, because this guy said he had like 5 noble phantasms, and I'm pretty sure we didn't get I think we only got to see like 3. So if you count his spear, then you got the chariot, and you got the, I think was, and the time freezing thing, or the, that noble phantasm that he used against Sagittarius. Honestly, we got like we're missing a big one. I know, because he mentioned it. We're missing at least two, because I don't know if the spear is considered as a noble phantasm. So we might get the spear, he get the chariot, we got the time freezing effect, and then we got the shield, which he didn't use, but he did give it to Ryder. So that should be 4, and then the 5th one we know nothing about. So that's pretty interesting. I'm definitely curious what it's gonna be. I'm definitely looking forward to that video. And that's pretty much it. His story was interesting. I expected it to be so. I thought it was gonna be, because like a lot of these demigod stories, they run kind of like parallel to each other. For example, his story was really similar to Cool Collins in the actual, not in detail, but like if you sum it up, it was like he was born a demigod, raised and trained by this famous ass teachers, and then went on to live the life of a warrior, fought many battles, had many victories, was considered a great warrior, and then died in battle. kind of like very similar to Hercules as well. It like Hercules kind of fits that mold where he was born a demigod. Well, he was born born a demigod. It depends like what iteration you read, but born a demigod, taught by famous teachers, then went to live the life of a hero or a warrior, fought many great battles, and then dies. So a lot of these demigod stories run really parallel, but the interesting parts are in the details. Because I'm really curious, why did this guy get pissed of Achilles' disrespect? Why didn't he get pissed when the prince killed Achilles' friend? Was it so bad that Achilles wanted to get revenge? What was his mother's reaction to his death, caused by the hands of another god, Apollo? There's a lot of questions that are, you know, in the details. Also, if you notice the way that he was not defeated, but he was weakened, like severely weakened by Sagittarius at the end, and it was the same way that he actually died, which was he got shot in the arrow. He got shot with an arrow right in the ankle or the heel. So yes, that's if you notice, like Fate does this a lot. Like they throw the lore in there, and once you actually read the story, you can see the similarities between the actual characters and how Fate handles them. So yeah, and I said in my Apocrypha review, it would be awesome if Apocrypha had a few more episodes, because it was a shame that this guy didn't get as much screen time as he deserved. But he wasn't the only one affected by the lack of episodes. There was a lot of them, but he's definitely one of the most interesting ones that I would have loved to see a lot more of. So yeah, so that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, please hit that like button, please hit that subscribe button. If you want to see that Karna video, subscribe, man. Subscribe, because as soon as I hit 300, that video is gonna drop. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and as I always say, have an awesome day, and catch you guys in the next one.